Hi, this is David Rosenberg here, and in this Smart Take, we're going to look at something that some may consider a bit controversial, namely the use of electroconvulsive therapy for adolescents with severe depressive episode and suicidality. But we have to recognize that even now, there still are only two FDA-approved antidepressants for depression in youth, that is specifically escitalopram and fluoxetine. So there is an urgent need for better treatment. And we know that while these medicines are FDA approved, while there are non-medication therapies such as cognitive behavioral therapy, psychotherapy, combining these treatments with medicine, that still many youth with depression prove resistant to currently available treatment, respond only partially with continued functional impairment. So this remains a major concern, and particularly when there's suicidality associated with the depression, when there is treatment resistance. So ECT, which still in adults in many types of depression, even though we don't know quite how it works, it remains one of the most effective treatments for depression in adults. So overall, there is justification for using this in adolescents. And this particular study was a retrospective comparison between responders and non-responders. And they included all adolescent severe depressed episode patients with suicidal tendencies admitted to a psychiatric department and who received ECT treatment. And this included nearly 500 adolescents with severe depressive episode and suicidal behavior who received ECT. So what did they find? Well, according to their measures, treatment was actually effective in over 70% of the patients, but was ineffective in about 27% of the patients. Now, one thing that was found was that 8 to 12 and 12 to 16 ECT sessions reduced the risk of ineffectiveness compared to fewer than 4 sessions. So at least 8 ECT sessions seem to be necessary for a good response to ECT in adolescents with severe depressive episode and suicidality. In addition, the risk of ineffectiveness significantly decreased with age. So ECT appeared to be more effective in older than in younger adolescents, and the risk of ineffectiveness of ECT in adolescents with depression and suicidality significantly increased in those patients with comorbidity with OCD. So OCD as a comorbidity appeared to be a very poor prognostic predictor for response to ECT in adolescents with severe depressive episode. Interestingly, compared to sertraline, escitalopram was associated with an increased risk of ECT not working. Curious, since escitalopram is one of only 2 antidepressants FDA approved in adolescent depression, and sertraline, while used in adolescent depression, is still not FDA approved in this population. On the other hand, olanzapine and aripiprazole demonstrated a reduced risk of ECT being ineffective when compared to quetiapine, where the risk of ECT being ineffective was higher. So what I would say here is that this particular study, being retrospective in nature, which is never as good as a prospective study, that's not to diminish its importance, and retrospective studies can give us a good lead, but so often they raise many more questions than are answered. There are key missing points, and I think it's hard to really have any definitive conclusions from the many findings and associations. That being said, this is an important lead, and overall, it does appear that many of the patients treated with ECT did have a favorable response, and that there may be certain predictors, comorbidity with obsessive compulsive disorder, that predict a poorer response to ECT. that age seems to be a determinant of response to ECT, with older age predicting a better response to ECT and younger age predicting a poorer response to ECT. And intriguingly, that the antidepressant escitalopram, which is FDA approved for major depression in youth, seemed to be less favorably associated with response to ECT than did sertraline, an antidepressant used in adolescent major depressive disorder, but which still does not have FDA approval. So a lot of important findings. I think what this study definitely does is make a good case for further research and investigation as to the utility of ECT in adolescents with major depression, and point to the need for good prospective studies that would build on this particular retrospective study.